There's a big challenge for a transition in the energy sector, particularly the move away from fossil fuels towards renewables and other low-carbon sources, and also the big challenges on energy demand, which probably doesn't get enough attention. So I think these are the big challenges for this week. How businesses, how other groups can get involved in the energy transition. The conclusions from our report is that we are not on track to meet our climate targets. In fact, we're some way off. There's a gap. There are two kinds of gaps there. There's a so-called emissions gap, because the pledges that governments made will not limit warming to 1.5 or even 2 degrees. But there's also an implementation gap, because we haven't even got the policies in place to meet all of the current pledges. So there is a lot of work to be done, both in terms of aspiration and effort.
You mentioned in your session that the oil and gas industry have so far neglected methane emissions. Why has that been, and are we doing anything differently to more focus to cut down on methane emissions?
I think in terms of methane, the problem has been that people didn't really look for ways. They just sort of let the problem go. Now oil and gas companies are actually looking very actively for ways of reducing methane emissions. And there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there. It may even pay, because you can sell the methane instead of letting it leak into the atmosphere. So I think there's a lot of effort going into there, and it's particularly important because methane is a very potent greenhouse gas with a short lifetime, and doing things on methane can have a very rapid effect on global warming.